everyone and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Effy. Nice to meet you. I welcome you to the family that we have around here. Today's video is gonna be quite interesting. This is my first reaction or reacting kind of video. I asked you guys on Instagram if you would want me to do a 13 Reasons Why reaction video. The new season just came out. It's really on brand kind of for me. If you didn't know, I am 25. I'm currently doing my master's in psychology, more specifically in clinical and health psychology. And I really do want to incorporate some more psychology related videos onto my channel. Mental health has also been getting its way into the pop culture lately, for which I am really grateful. I am so happy that lots of celebrities and lots of TV shows like 13 Reasons Why are bringing up the issues and basically trying to destigmatize mental health and mental health problems, conditions, and just basically open up the conversation. That is exactly one of the aims I have on my channel, to destigmatize mental health. So if you're interested in this video and me reacting to 13 Reasons Why season 4, then stick around. If you don't know this show, first of all, I think you should start with the first season, obviously. But if you don't know the show, it explores a lot of topics which are heavy. I just wanted to put a trigger warning right here. They say that the show explores a wide range of social issues affecting modern youth, including suicide, sexual assault, bullying, racism, job culture, mental health, drug addiction, domestic violence, homophobia, deportation, police brutality, steroid use, homelessness, HIV, abortion, and school shootings. So if any of that you feel can be triggering for you, then please click off this video. This is all for entertainment and information's sake. I don't want to cause harm to any of you guys. I just want you guys to feel safe in this space. I have my trusty notes here. So I have watched the first half of the show. I believe it has 10 or 11 episodes. So the first episode starts off with Clay talking about his inner battles and how things have been changing since all the police questionings and kind of interrogations. There was this one sentence that he said, "People have been relying on me, so I gotta be strong and stuff." And then he follows it with, "Dreams and anxiety makes me not strong." This got me thinking, yes, this guy, I think they're around 18 in the show because they're just finishing high school, I think this year. Yes, because they're looking to go to university. Yeah, Clay has been through a lot. And I really get this feeling that he wants to be there for people. But for me, this way of thinking sometimes could be a little bit toxic. It is good to be there for your friends. It is absolutely amazing if you can be that safety net. They can rely on you, but you also shouldn't put all the pressure on yourself and make yourself feel like you're the only person they can rely on. Then later in the episode, I don't know, the way that they shot this was really weird. It seems like he's having PTSD. If you don't know what PTSD is, it's post-traumatic stress disorder. You can find this in the DSM-5. Usually PTSD happens after a really big trauma, which could be sexual assault. Actually, if I remember right, they first started to research PTSD after the Vietnam War. PTSD usually is when you experience like these flashes of pictures. You're basically re-experiencing the trauma and you see parts of it happening, like somebody would show you a photo of your trauma and then put it away. So it's really fast and it's really vivid. Sometimes people with PTSD don't just see what has been happening, but also have that feeling when they were in that position, in that awful situation. So it can be quite hard. Quite hard. Clay seems to be having PTSD, but then again, sometimes for me, it was just really weird how they showed it. I couldn't really distinguish PTSD from hallucinations. There are differences actually between PTSD and hallucinations. It's a diagnostic criteria, for example, for schizophrenia, if I'm not mistaken. It can be a voice, so it can be auditory, or it can be a picture or seeing something, so it can be a visual hallucination, but usually it's not something that is realistic. So there are differences and I couldn't really distinguish this in the series. Then later on in episode 1, they also says this, quote, "It comes in waves. It's like I can't breathe, my heart's gonna beat out of my chest. like I'm gonna die. It seems like that here Clay describes a anxiety attack or panic attack, and I think that they're giving a really good visual of what it looks like from the outside. And I really like the words that how he's describing it. He says that it's like I can't breathe, and shortness of breath is definitely a characteristic of such an experience. He also says my heart's gonna beat out of my chest. It's also really likely if you're experiencing an anxiety attack or a panic attack that you basically hear your heartbeat because it's pounding it's so loud. But yeah, this is actually what an anxiety attack and a panic attack can feel like. If you didn't know, I have anxiety as well, and in the past when I was in high school, I don't think I've talked about this, but I would have panic attacks every single day. It's definitely like this, so this is really accurate. Following the storyline, Justin comes back from rehab and he had a relationship with Jess, so Jess really hoped that they would go back to being together, but Justin decides that he would rather be alone coming out of rehab. Feels like he has to experience what it's like to be alone. They definitely did look like they were in love. Then finally, in the first episode, Clay decides to go to therapy. I was so happy that this happened. I have no idea why these kids didn't go to therapy before. I know that in the first season, I don't want to give spoilers, but there was the school counselor and he didn't really do a great job in counseling Hannah Baker. I get that part. But this is different. Counseling and therapy is totally different. Okay, let's just talk about it. This is gonna be a long video, I'm sorry. But basically, if you're going to counseling, counselors are there if you need some kind of an advice, but you're never gonna get like a straight answer. So this is kind of a misconception with psychologists. Some people feel like people are going to psychologists because they want to get an answer and because psychologists know everything, which is not true. We don't know everything. If psychologists know everything, they will be able to give you the perfect answer and then you wouldn't have to choose. For example, if you have to choose between two things, that's not how it's happening. Usually counseling happens in a shorter period of time. It could be 6 to 12 sessions, if I'm not mistaken. And in therapy, you can be there for years and years. A counselor will help you to guide you. For example, if you can't seem to decide to which university you want to go to and not the deeper dynamics of somebody's personality, that goes to therapy. So a counselor will basically help you with guidance. If you need help with your work, for example, you're experiencing a hard time at work, they can help you with stress management to help you in your life to be able to manage your life better. And in therapy, it's a lot deeper. They go into your roots, like your childhood, your relationship with your parents, your romantic relationships, why you're reacting to certain things, the way you are reacting, your personality, why is it working that way, your coping mechanisms, and basically the really deep stuff. I don't know how to put it. And Clay decides to go to therapy. I think they're portraying the therapy part really great. I really like the therapist he has. Helps Clay realize how he's working as a person, like why is he working that way. And when he goes to therapy, he starts off with he never really used to care about his dreams, but he's been having really bad dreams and all these hallucinations or PTSD. They're starting to talk about how he feels that he needs to be in control all the time, because if he's not in control, then he lets people down, and when he lets people down, it gets ugly. So they are starting to open these conversations, and I just really love the idea that he's finally in therapy. In the second episode, something that really stuck out for me was this part when Clay is looking into the mirror and his image from the mirror is smiling back to him, but he has a straight face. This is definitely not a PTSD thing. This is more like a hallucination thing for sure. But it was just really weirdly portrayed. Like, I don't really know what the director wants us to think about Clay. He has hallucinations or that he has PTSD. I know I'm really fixating on this, but this is just really weird for me. I don't know if you guys saw it. Like, what did you think? It definitely felt like a hallucination for me. He also says that he has not been sleeping more than an hour and a half every night, which can be really alarming. So he says basically that he's been having really bad dreams. He's basically sweating in his dreams. He's waking up, he's seeing things, he's hearing things, and he's not really sleeping that much. All these things combined together sound really alarming for me. So I'm really happy that he decided to go to therapy. Sleeping is really underrated nowadays. I feel like everyone seems to be always feeling like they have to work, they have to do studying all the time, because if you're not getting shit done, then you're nobody, and that you're lazy. Grind or like hustle culture, I'm not really happy about. These sleeping problems can be really hard and really damaging to a person's life. During sleeping, just research it. I don't want to talk about this for too long. Go on Google, type it in. Why is sleeping so important? There are so many things happening while we are sleeping. So this, that he's not sleeping, he's only sleeping an hour and a half a night, it's just horrible. I don't know how he concentrates in school. It can even help with hallucinations because the brain is not getting enough resting time, so it can act up in a way. At the end of episode 2, after touring the university all together, the whole class, Clay goes back to therapy for another session. And if you watch the episode, you know that there is something really weird happening with Clay going up to one of the college girls' room, who he saw was drunk, and she decided to go upstairs into her room. And Clay, out of the blue, just decided to go up to the same room, and then he brings this up in therapy. So he basically starts to describe that when he went up there, first he went after the girl. His therapist asked him why did he go up there, because he knew that the girl was alone. Clay says that he didn't really know. Then they start to go deeper and deeper into it, and Clay says that he actually got hurt from watching the girl just laying on the bed drunk, just on there. This could be a reference for what happened with Jess in, I think, in the second season, or maybe in the first. Sexual assault is a really serious thing, and it's really weird seeing Clay going after this girl and going up there. It seems really out of character for him, because first when I was watching this, I thought that he was going up there because he wanted to take care of the girl. That's how it looked like. Then in the shot we could see, I believe that we could see that he got hard just looking at the girl. And then I got really weirded out. I still to this day don't really know the connection. And then in therapy, he brought it up and started asking questions and started getting angry and frustrated because of these intrusive thoughts. Because he honestly doesn't know why this happened to him. And then he lashes out. I'm looking here because I have my laptop right here. He lashes out onto his therapist, asks him, why are you not helping me? You're supposed to be here to help me and get me through this. The therapist says, yes, that's why he's here. But something that I really liked that he said was, this is a long process. These are the questions that they're asking, and this is what they want to know the answers to. But this is a really long process. And he says sometimes it gets more difficult before it gets better. And that's something I'm absolutely experiencing in my therapy sessions. Clay was not the victim of sexual assault, but Hannah Baker was, and Jess was as well. If I remember right, by listening to the tapes, Clay knew about these things. And I think he also talked about it with Jess, because Jess became really outspoken of her experiences. So I just wanted to point this part out, because this part was actually really confusing for me, and I'm really eager to see what his therapist will say. He knows about these things, and he seems actually scared. He doesn't know why he reacted that way, and I'm sure that I have a lot of studying to do about this, like why this can happen to a person, but I really hope that they will touch on this topic. Episode 3 is really weird for me. It's starting to get like, if you know the show Pretty Little Liars, Clay starts to get text messages, somebody is calling him. Also, police are showing up in their school, which is also really weird for me. In Hungary, we have no police in our school. Also, we cannot have guns on us by law. I think only policemen, people who are certified to have guns, can have guns in Hungary. In the USA, it's different. I think they wanted to level up the protection, the children going to school. to get searched by the policemen because there were only 2 policemen, male, and then she just walks away and flips them off, and I don't know, it was a scene. It was a sassy scene and I liked it, and absolutely agree, like 100%. She's always on fire and I'm just so proud of her, like how she's evolving after all these horrible things that are happening to her. So with the text messages, it's starting to get a little bit like a Pretty Little Liars vibe and like a horror movie kind of vibe. For me, I don't really like this storyline. For me, it's a little bit too much. If you watch the show from the beginning, you know that the main topic is mental health, or was mental health. And I think in this season 4, they're trying to bring something extra in here to make it more relevant or interesting. So it's becoming more and more unrealistic. This is the word that I was searching for, unrealistic. Clay is getting messages and phone calls, and the caller on the other side is making him do things. They're basically tricking him, and he's experiencing more and more hallucinations. They're making him like start a fight with one of his best friends in the cafeteria. Then at home, his parents are getting more and more anxious and worried about their son, and then he's bringing these things up in therapy. So first Clay decides to lie about these phone calls to his girlfriend, because he does have a beautiful girlfriend. And this is something that I realized that in TV shows, how they're trying to create drama is by lying, and it's happening all the time, and I'm just getting really tired of it. Then in therapy, Clay decides to bring up the topic of love, which I really like. That whole conversation was really interesting. His point of view on love. We know that from the first season that he was in love with Hannah Baker, and we know what happened with Hannah, and it's just really interesting to see how these horrible experiences have changed his way of thinking about love, even though he is in a relationship right now. He says, if you love someone, you are going to lose them. This is a great representation of how our experiences in life are really structuring the way how we are thinking, how we are going to think about certain concepts along in life. As far as I'm concerned, his experience with losing a loved one is only Hannah. That is a really traumatic way of losing someone. I totally understand that. But generalizing can be really harmful and not helpful. From one point of view, I completely understand why Clay feels like he's going to lose every single person that he's going to love, because that's how he lost his, I believe that Hannah was his first love. So how he lost his first love is extremely traumatic and extremely hard. And I can understand why he feels that, because that was his first experience. I hope that his therapist will help him realize that not every loss is this traumatic. This is something really random, but they're having a party and Losing It is playing in the background, and I really love this song. So at the end of episode 3, it turns out that the whole calling and texting and making Clay do things was basically a prank. That got me really surprised. In episode 4, the whole class goes into the woods and they're doing a camping trip, and first Clay thinks that he cannot go, but then he is going after all the shebang that happened with the football players, because they're obviously gonna be there as well because they are in the same class. It was really interesting for me how it played out. They're also doing, I think it's called a scavenger hunt. Some parts were really unrealistic for me. Again, Jess was, for example, walking through the woods and she was having hallucinations as well. Lots of people seem to be having this on the show. She was hallucinating that Bryce was there. I totally understand where this can come from. Bryce was the one who sexually assaulted Jess in season 1 or season 2. And then what really shook me, that Clay got trapped basically in a hole. Then again, it was just really starting to get really unrealistic again. And first I thought that the football players were doing this to him again, and that's what he thought as well. And there was this whole scene at this house. Basically all of the friends, all of Clay's friend group was stuck in this house, and weird like noises were done outside by someone. Clay tries to look for Justin, but instead somebody gets him, and they drop him into this hole, and then he has this severe anxiety attack, and then I think he falls asleep or something happens, and when he wakes up, all of the treasure, so it's not a scavenger hunt, all the treasure from the treasure hunt is laid around him, and he has a weird dream that Monty and him are speaking. Clay asks Monty, "Can you forgive me?" And then Monty replies, "I'm not the one who needs to forgive you." And this was a really great point. Sometimes we are the ones who are holding ourselves back from letting something go or to process something. And then at the end of episode 4, there is this line that Clay says about anxiety. It goes, "It's not about what you know is coming, it's about what you don't." And I felt that so much, so much. Anxiety can be I'm sorry, but that's exactly what he says. It can be. And he says everything out there is waiting for you. And sometimes anxiety can feel that way, for sure. That feeling of uncertainty can be really frightening, and it can be really paralyzing. That's how I feel sometimes, and I feel that on Clay as well. Okay, and finally episode 5. I like the episode 5. There is a big party going on, but before that Clay goes running. It's really interesting that while he's running, he's going back to the places where specific things have happened with Monty. I think he goes to Bryce's house as well. Usually we see this kind of behavior with psychopaths or sociopaths who are going back to the place where they killed someone. As far as I'm concerned, it's characteristic of these people. I mean, I've heard it, I've read it, I've seen it. For example, I've watched the Ted Bundy tapes. So it was really weird that they introduced this kind of behavior for Clay. I don't know what their aim was. It made me wonder why he would want to go back and visit those emotions and those thoughts again. Then his parents are starting to ask him questions, where he was and why was he there, and they figure out with Justin, because they're living together, they figure out with Justin that there is this app in their phone which basically tracks them where they're going. So they decide to ditch the phones. They're also doing a drug test on Justin and on Clay as well. For Justin, it was kind of heartbreaking for me because he just came out of rehab. First, I felt offended for Justin because seemingly he's doing so great. Then we figure out that he is indeed going back to the trailer park where he used to live, but because his mom is a drug addict, and I think that she's asking for money, and Justin is obviously torn because he wants to help his mom, but he doesn't want to fall back. Then there is this party which is called a Find Your Drink party. This is a really sketchy party for me. I don't know if you've heard of a party like this, or if you're from the USA, is it really a thing, or is it just happening in this series? You're basically drinking every kind of drink to find what your drink is going to be in college or in university. So it's basically to get you blackout drunk. And Clay describes that he is basically scared of drugs because he says any of them has a really bad trip on them. But at the party, he does try out marijuana. He ends up getting in a fight with Justin. He also breaks up with his girlfriend. No, his girlfriend is breaking up with him when he's in a fight in the cafeteria, and he sees a girl at this party, and they decide to go upstairs to a room and they decide to sleep together. And I believe that this was the first time for Clay, actually. In another storyline, Tony is training to be a boxer. He has a boxing match and he actually wins. At the party, Jess and Justin are also having a conversation. Jess has a new boyfriend who is a football player, which is a weird match considering what happened to Jess. And Justin points this out. They're having kind of a deeper conversation about Justin's mom because Justin is drinking alcohol at this party. And Jess points this out to Justin, like, why are you drinking if you have just been to rehab? For me, it looked like they were just about to kiss, but then Jess's boyfriend came and then had like a nasty comment about Justin. And at the end of episode 5, 2 major things are happening. These got me really by surprise. So the first thing that happens is that Tyler is acting really weird. Tony and Justin decide to follow him because it's outside of the party somewhere, and Tyler is getting this package from a guy who is sitting in a car. And the thing that surprised me is when Tony says that he knows this guy because this guy deals guns. So I don't know what's going to happen with Tyler. I really don't want him to fall back into his old ways because he's seemingly doing so well. Even in the first 5 episodes, in one of the episodes, he's opening up about his sexual assault, which is really, really hard thing to do. So I just really don't want him to fall back. And the second thing that's happening at the end of episode 5 really got me by surprise. So Zach and Clay decide to get into Zach's car, but both of them are drunk and Clay is driving. At first they're having fun and Zach seems like he's having fun as well. He's not really concerned that Clay is driving under the influence. And when this big turn is coming, Clay cannot seem to control the car and they drive off basically the road, and I think it's a cliff, and that's how the episode ends. So lots of questions are still open. This is only episode 5 and there are a few episodes left. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. For me, for now, for these first 5 episodes, I would rate the show a solid 6. But that's it for today's video, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed. Maybe you learned something. If I made a mistake, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm not perfect. I'm still studying this. I'm not a psychologist yet. Please know this. I'm not a psychologist yet. I'm a master's student, as I stated at the beginning of this video. I am definitely gonna react to the second 5 episodes. If there's any other kind of show or any other parts of the show that you want me to react to, then please leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe. That would help my channel so much, and I'm always thankful for your support. So if you enjoyed, please don't forget to hit that like button because that indicates that you enjoyed this video. I love you guys and I'll see you in a next one. Bye guys.